6% no. So there's been a gain for the president there. But it's clear the country remains divided on President Trump. Joining us from Dallas, one of his critics, Mark Cuban, billionaire and TV star. Let's talk some policy, Mr. Cuban. What is your biggest concern about President Trump in that area?
Well, I think his management style, I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't think he's been able to show any leadership. I don't think he's taken responsibility for the White House, and I don't think he's shown them any direction. And I think the result of that are the issues that you've mentioned. There's a divergence in communications. The people that work for him seem to be fearful of having the mistakes pinned on them, and that's led to leaks and just inconsistency coming out of the White House.
But that's not really policy, and I have to say that I have never seen in my lifetime a new president do as many things as Donald Trump has done in 26 days. Now, you may not like those things, and that's why we invited you on. What's the policy beef?
Okay, well, we could start with policy then. Let's talk with jobs, all right? He's meeting with all these companies, but he hasn't gotten to the point where he understands that the nature of work is changing. Technology is changing how people are hired, the jobs they're going to do. He's shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic by going and talking to these companies and dealing with 5 and 10 and even 25,000 jobs at a time. Now, look, there's nothing wrong with trying to get more jobs. That's a good thing. But in any given month, our economy gains and loses 5 million plus jobs.
But
He's got to start dealing with the macro issues.
Would you see that his goal of keeping manufacturing and plants here in the United States is a good one? Would you cede that?
Not really.
No, you think it's good for the country to have plants built overseas? Do you think that's
no? That's
good
not
for
what I'm
America?
saying at all.
Well, that's that's what his goal is. Have them built here.
I get that he wants plants built here, but you're not going to see new buildings. You're not going to see new facilities. What you're going to see are changes to existing facilities.
Well, already some companies say they're going to build new factories here because they don't want to pay a tariff of bringing their goods back into the USA. All right.
So now we're into semantics, Bill, because now we're saying a new factory. Does that mean modifying an existing facility? That I don't know.
I don't know either. Would it be fair then to give the president a year to see if the job, and we're talking good jobs, we're not talking service marginal jobs, we're talking, so the median income goes up. That was the beef on President Obama. Right. He couldn't raise the median. Would it be fair to give President Trump a year to see if his aggressive approach results in good jobs appearing in America? Would that be fair?
Sure, I have no problem with giving him time. But you have to look at the bigger picture. He hasn't demonstrated that he understands the bigger picture. What I will tell you with 100% certainty, every single one of those companies that he's talking to, whether it's Ford, whether it's United Technologies, whoever it may be, their total number of employees will be fewer in 3 years than it is today, no matter what he does in terms of
We all understand the changing technology and that people have to become educated in it.
No, that's not what I'm saying. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, in order to do the new jobs, you're going to have a new set of skills required.
No.
Yes, you will.
That is not correct at all. What I'm saying is with artificial intelligence, machine learning, neural networks, we're going to see more technological change over the next 3 years than we've seen over the last 30.
But in order for people to harness that change, they're going to have to know the new technology inside and out.
No.
All right.
Bill, that's not the way. I'm just telling you, that's not the way it works. People are going to be replaced by these technologies. What we have to do during that disruptive period, we have to find places for them to go. We have to find new places to put them to work.
There's always going to be marketing. There's always going to be things like that they have to do, unless you want to set up a socialistic thing where everybody's guaranteed a job, which is never going to happen here. Let's get to health care for a minute, because I know that's a big issue for you. Is it fair to give the Trump administration and the Republican Party 6 or 7 months to come up with a plan? Is that fair?
Yeah, of course. But here's the real question, Bill. If you're going to adjust, replace whatever you want with Obamacare, you've got to answer a simple question. Out of healthcare providers, insurers, and consumers, who's going to take less? That's what we don't know.
Well, he's trying to drive down the cost by having more competition among the insurance companies and then browbeating the farm companies, the drug companies, to lower their prices. He's trying to do that. But it's a complicated
drug companies are only
issue.
A small portion. So what you're saying is all these insurance companies are now willing to have lower profits because you think
No, because their profits will be going on a wider canvas in which to sell. So the volume goes up while the price goes down.
Now, where are they going to be selling that they didn't sell before?
Because they can't sell now, and they're ordered to sell in certain states. He wants to open it up for the whole country.
No, but it's not like those companies couldn't initiate
they
businesses
can in certain
those
states, and you know that. It's a very regimented healthcare system that we have. Ms. Cuban,
Yes,
I'd love to have you back because you're a smart guy, and we want to hear from you from time to time. Thanks for coming on.
It's always fun, Bill. Thank you.
Next on The Rundown.